The moment she decides to walk away, a switch flips in your brain that screams at you to do whatever it takes to get her back. But you have to understand that this is your survival instinct lying to you. Most gurus out there will exploit that panic by selling you scripts and tricks to win her back. But I'm going to tell you the cold, hard truth. Chasing her is the fastest way to ensure she never respects you again. When you chase, you are explicitly communicating that your world revolves around her and that you have no value without her presence. It kills your self esteem. And more importantly, it destroys your perceived value in her eyes. Women are naturally attracted to strength and independence, not a man who grovels at the feet of someone who rejected him. Every text you send, every check in call, and every emotional plea only serves to validate her decision to leave you. You are essentially telling her, "You were right to dump me because I'm desperate and have no other options." Think about the long term reality of a one back relationship versus the fantasy. Even if your begging or your no contact tricks actually work and she decides to come back, the foundation is already rotten. The power dynamic is completely skewed because she knows she can leave and you'll be right there waiting to catch her. The original problems that caused the breakup haven't magically vanished. They are still simmering under the surface, waiting to explode again. Furthermore, she will always carry the mental image of you at your lowest point. The guy who begged, the guy who lost his cool, the guy who couldn't stand on his own 2 feet. You can't build a high level, healthy relationship on a foundation of pity and desperation. She won't see you as her masculine leader or her equal. She'll see you as a project or an obligation. And that is a miserable way to live. You deserve to be in a relationship where you are wanted, not just tolerated because you were persistent enough to wear her down. By refusing to chase, you are reclaiming your power and your dignity. It is a massive short term hit to your ego to sit in that pain and let her go. But that discipline is what builds a real man. When you walk away and never look back, you regain the high ground. You send a message to yourself and to the world that your time and your love are valuable assets that won't be wasted on someone who doesn't want them. This position of power is the only place from which you can truly succeed. 6 months from today, the man who chased will likely still be miserable, stuck in a cycle of on again, off again drama, or still crying over a woman who has moved on. But the man who chooses to walk away and focus on his own growth will be unrecognizable. By taking the hit now and choosing self respect over a recycled relationship, you clear the path for a fresh start with a new woman who has no baggage with you and who sees you as the high value man you've become. You are trading a few months of discomfort for a lifetime of confidence. Don't settle for being someone's second choice or a guilt trip boyfriend. Stand up, keep your head high, and move forward. That is the only path to true success. Right now, you are sitting in a pile of emotional rubble, and it feels like the end of the world. But I need you to shift your perspective immediately. This wreckage is actually the most powerful fuel you will ever have access to in your entire life. Think about it. When things are going okay or good enough, we stay comfortable. We get lazy. We settle for mediocrity because there's no reason to change. But pain is a massive disruptor. It is a loud, ringing alarm clock telling you that the old version of you has reached its limit. This breakup has ripped away the safety net of your routine. And while that feels terrifying, it is actually a gift. It has created a vacuum, a blank space where you can finally build the man you were actually meant to be. This is the moment where someday becomes today. You have a level of raw, aggressive energy right now, even if it feels like sadness, that you can harvest to propel yourself further in the next 6 months than you have in the last 6 years. If you look at the most successful, high impact men in the world, the top tier coaches, the visionary entrepreneurs, the leaders who command respect, almost every single one of them has a breakup story. They have a moment exactly like yours where they were left behind, felt worthless, and hit rock bottom. That bottom became the solid foundation they built their empires on. They didn't achieve greatness despite the heartbreak, they achieved it because of it. They took that rejection and used it as a psychological forge. Every time they wanted to quit a workout, or every time they felt like being lazy in their business, they remembered the sting of that rejection and used it to push harder. You have that same fire burning in your chest right now. You can either let it burn you up and turn you into a bitter, broken guy who talks about his ex for years, or you can use it as the jet fuel that launches you into a completely different tax bracket of confidence, health, and success. The difference between winning and losing this breakup comes down to your internal narrative. If you choose to view this as a tragedy, you have already lost. If you tell yourself you're a victim, you're essentially saying that she has the power to ruin your life just by leaving. But if you view this as a radical opportunity to rebuild, you win instantly. Imagine yourself a year from now. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing a man who is physically stronger, mentally sharper, more financially secure, and completely unbothered by the past. When you reach that point, you won't look back at this breakup with sadness. You'll look back at it with gratitude. You'll realize that if she hadn't left, you would have stayed the same okay guy forever. She did you a favor by forcing you out of your comfort zone and into the arena. Stop focusing on what you lost and start focusing on what you are about to gain. You are currently in the training montage of your life. This is where the work happens. This is where the discipline is forged. When you are in the gym and your muscles burn, that's where the growth is. It's the same with your heart and your mind. This discomfort is the feeling of your old, weaker self dying off so that a more dominant, self assured version of you can take over. Don't waste this pain. Don't drown it in booze or distract yourself with mindless scrolling. Sit with it, respect it, and then channel it. Every ounce of hurt you feel is actually a unit of energy that you can reinvest into your career, your body, and your future. This isn't just a breakup, it is your initiation. It's time to stop mourning the rubble and start using those bricks to build your castle. The first thing you have to realize is that a breakup creates a massive surge of nervous energy that usually gets wasted on overthinking, checking her social media, and replaying old memories. You need to stop that cycle immediately by shifting from a state of obsessing to a state of acting. The quickest way to change your mind is to change your physiology, and that starts with your body. If you aren't lifting weights or pushing yourself physically, you are leaving your most powerful antidepressant on the table. When you train hard, you aren't just building muscle, you are literally rewriting your brain chemistry. Intense physical exercise floods your system with endorphins and testosterone, which naturally counters the cortisol and stress hormones that have been making you feel weak and anxious. Every rep in the gym is a deposit into your self-worth. You start to look in the mirror and see a man who is disciplined and capable, rather than a man who is broken. This physical transformation acts as a visual anchor for your new life. As your body changes, your belief in your ability to handle the world changes with it. Once you've started the fire in your body, you have to clear the air in your environment. Your living space is currently a minefield of emotional triggers. Old receipts, that shirt she liked, or just general clutter that accumulated while you were comfortable and stagnant. You need to spend at least 2 hours performing a ruthless environmental purge. This isn't just about cleaning, it is a psychological ritual. When you physically bag up old junk, clothes you haven't worn in a year, and items that remind you of a past version of yourself, you are signaling to your subconscious that the old you is officially gone. This creates a vacuum. By removing the physical weight of your past, you literally make room for the new opportunities, new people, and new energy that are waiting to enter your life. A clean, organized, and masculine space reflects a clear, organized, and masculine mind. You cannot build a high-level future while surrounded by the debris of a failed past. The final and perhaps most overlooked part of this reset is shifting your focus outward through service. When you are hurting, your world becomes incredibly small. It's just you and your pain. This me-centered focus actually amplifies the suffering. To break out of it, you need to go do something for someone else. Whether you volunteer at a local kitchen, help a neighbor, or donate to a cause you actually care about, the act of helping others provides an immediate and powerful shift in perspective. It forces you to realize that you still have immense value to provide to the world, regardless of your relationship status. It proves that you are a man of abundance, someone who has enough strength to share it with others. This outward focus kills the victim mentality because it's impossible to feel like a helpless victim while you are actively being a hero or a helper to someone else. By combining these three elements, physical training, environmental purging, and outward service, you create an unstoppable momentum that pulls you out of the breakup pit. You aren't just getting over her, you're actively constructing a foundation of health, clarity, and purpose. This phase is about taking back the remote control of your own life. You stop being a spectator of your own misery and start being the architect of your own recovery. Every time you pick up a dumbbell, every time you throw away a piece of trash from your past, and every time you help someone in need, you are reclaiming a piece of your soul. You are moving from a position of depletion to a position of power. And that is the only way to ensure that when you finally step back into the dating world, you do so as a man who is whole, confident, and completely independent of any woman's validation. The absolute biggest hurdle in your recovery right now is the goddess myth, the psychological trap where your brain selectively deletes every bad memory and replaces them with a highlight reel of her best moments. When a woman rejects you, your brain chemistry reacts like it's going through a physical withdrawal. And to cope, it starts lying to you. It paints her as a flawless, angelic being that you can't possibly live without. But you need to understand that this is a total hallucination. She is a human being with flaws, insecurities, and annoying habits just like everyone else. If she were actually perfect for you, she wouldn't have walked away. By putting her on a pedestal, you are looking down on yourself. And as long as you are looking up at her, you will never be able to see clearly enough to move on. You have to take that pedestal and smash it into 1,000 pieces if you ever want to get your power back. To break this spell, you need to conduct a ruthless character assassination of the relationship in your own mind. I want you to grab a notebook and write down every single thing that irritated you, every standard she failed to meet, and every moment she made you feel small. Don't be nice or fair here. This isn't a public document. It's a tool for your survival. Think about the times she was selfish, the way she rolled her eyes when you were talking, her annoying habits that used to drive you crazy, or the specific ways she was emotionally unavailable. List the arguments that went nowhere and the times you had to walk on eggshells just to keep her happy. When you see these things written down in black and white, the goddess starts to look like a regular, flawed person who actually caused you a lot of stress. You've been ignoring these red flags because you were blinded by attraction, but now is the time to look at them through a magnifying glass. This list is your reality check medicine, and you need to keep it close. Every time you find yourself staring at your phone wishing she'd text, or every time you start feeling that wave of nostalgia where you miss her smell or her laugh, pull out that list and read it. Remind yourself of the times she let you down. Remind yourself of the personality traits that clashed with yours. By constantly feeding your brain the truth about her flaws, you are training yourself to stop worshiping a ghost. You aren't being bitter, you are being objective. You are stripping away the romanticized filter and seeing the relationship for what it actually was, an experience that ended because it wasn't working. The more you focus on her human imperfections, the less power she has over your emotions. Once you realize she isn't a goddess, you'll start to realize that you didn't lose your only chance at happiness. You just lost a person who wasn't the right fit. There is a massive psychological relief that comes when you stop trying to protect her image in your head. When you stop viewing her as an irreplaceable prize, you stop feeling like a loser for being without her. You start to see that there are millions of women out there who don't have those specific annoying habits and who will actually meet your standards without the constant drama. Killing the goddess myth is the ultimate act of self respect. It allows you to stop mourning a fantasy and start preparing for a reality where you are the one who sets the standards for who is allowed in your life. Stop looking up at her and start looking straight ahead at the man you are becoming. To stop the bleeding and actually heal, you have to stop the what if games and look at the cold, hard facts of why this ended. Most guys drive themselves crazy trying to solve a puzzle that only has three pieces. And once you identify which piece fits your situation, the mystery vanishes and the pain starts to lose its grip. The first possibility is low interest. And while it's a tough pill to swallow, it's the most liberating to understand. Sometimes a woman will date you even if the spark isn't truly there because you're a good guy, you provide stability, or you're a safe harbor after she dealt with a jerk. In this scenario, you were essentially a placeholder. She liked the idea of you or the benefits of being with you, but she wasn't actually in it with you. If this was the case, there is absolutely nothing you could have done differently to change the outcome because the foundation was built on sand. You cannot convince someone to be interested in you, and realizing she was never truly yours to begin with allows you to stop mourning a connection that only existed in your head. The second reason, and the one that gives you the most power for your future, is mistakes. This means at some point she was interested, but your behavior systematically drove that attraction into the ground. Maybe you became too needy, you stopped leading, you became predictable, or you let your own life and goals slide to the point where you no longer resembled the man she first fell for. While it hurts to admit you dropped the ball, this is actually the best case scenario for your growth. It means the system of attraction works, and you just need to learn the rules. If your behavior drove her away, you can change your behavior. You can study what went wrong, fix those leaks in your character, and ensure that when the next amazing woman comes along, you have the skills and the discipline to keep her attraction red hot for the long haul. You aren't broken. You just had a bad strategy, and strategies can be updated. The third reason is simply compatibility. You could be a high value man and she could be a high value woman. But if your visions for the future, your core values, or your daily lifestyles don't align, the relationship will eventually hit a wall. Sometimes she just wasn't the right woman for you, regardless of how much you liked her. Maybe she had unhealed trauma, a bad attitude, or different priorities that made a long term future impossible. In this case, the breakup isn't a failure, it's a mercy. It's the universe clearing out a seat in your life that was being occupied by the wrong person, so the right one can eventually take it. You have to stop viewing her as your soulmate, because that concept is a trap that keeps you shackled to the past. The truth is, there are thousands of women out there who are a perfect match for you, but you are currently invisible to them because you're still staring at a closed door. Once you identify which of these three categories your breakup falls into, you have to make a conscious choice to learn the specific lesson and move on immediately. If it was low interest, the lesson is to vet women better. If it was mistakes, the lesson is to sharpen your dating skills. If it was compatibility, the lesson is to raise your standards. Whatever the reason, the solution is never to look backward. Looking back is like trying to drive a car while staring only at the rearview mirror. You are guaranteed to crash again. There is no special magic about your ex that can't be found and improved upon in someone else. By accepting the facts and choosing to move forward, you reclaim your status as a man of action. You stop being the guy who got dumped and start being the man who is preparing himself for a much better, much stronger relationship with a woman who actually deserves to be there. The single biggest mistake men make in relationships is treating a woman like she is the sun and their entire life is a planet orbiting around her. When you do this, you make her responsible for your happiness, your stability, and your sense of worth. This is an impossible burden for any woman to carry, and more importantly, it makes you incredibly fragile. If she is the source of all your joy, then the moment she walks away, your entire universe collapses. You have to understand that happiness is your job, and your job alone. You need to become the captain of your own ship, steering toward a destination that excites you, regardless of who is standing on the deck with you.